As humans leave quietly, the council feels the weight of their error. The council chamber was enormous. It stretched higher than any building on Earth, with smooth walls of glass and metal that reflected the light of 1,000 stars. The chamber was cold, quiet, and filled with beings from dozens of worlds. Some had skin that shimmered like liquid silver. Others had hard shells, horns, or wings. Some had eyes in unusual places, and some had no eyes at all. Each had its own way of speaking, its own tone and rhythm, and each believed their voice carried power. At the center of the chamber, two humans stood. Daniel Brooks was tall, calm, and silent most of the time. Lisa Carter was smaller, careful, but her gaze was steady. They had traveled from Earth to speak with the council, not to demand, not to fight, but to make an offer. Daniel placed a small, glowing crystal on the center table. It hovered above the metal surface and pulsed softly. "Our proposal," he said clearly, "is for cooperation. We offer shared defense networks, open trade corridors, and joint research projects." The room was filled with murmurs. Counselor Vaylor, a towering figure with silver skin and long, flexible limbs, leaned forward. His voice was sharp. "Earth has not proven itself worthy of equal status. Your planet is still recovering from centuries of internal conflict. How can we trust humans with important decisions?" Lisa did not flinch. She spoke calmly. "We are not asking for trust. We are offering collaboration. Our fleets are capable. Our scientists are capable. We offer what we have. That is all." A few council members laughed. The sound was harsh and metallic in the chamber. One of them, a small blue-skinned creature named Zoran, said, "Your fleets, your planet. You come here asking for partnership, yet your entire history shows instability. You are a young species. You have not faced real threats." Daniel and Lisa exchanged no words. Daniel only nodded slightly, almost as if he had expected this. Counselor Vaylor's eyes narrowed. "You think the council would accept such a weak offer? You do not understand the politics here. You are not ready to speak as equals." Lisa's voice was quiet but firm. "We understand perfectly. We know that our offer may not be accepted. That is why we came. But we ask only that you consider the consequences of refusing collaboration. That is all." There was a long silence. Some of the alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. They could sense the calm strength of the humans, though none could understand its source. Another council member, a creature called Thrin with translucent skin and a dozen small mouths, laughed. "Consequences? What consequences? We are the council. We decide who is worthy and who is not. You humans are beneath us." Daniel did not respond. Lisa leaned slightly forward. "We leave our offer, that is all." Without further argument, the two humans turned and walked toward the exit. Their steps were quiet, measured. There was no anger in their faces, no desperation, only calm and certainty. Several council members whispered among themselves. They found it strange. They had expected humans to beg, to argue, to raise their voices. Instead, humans had only left quietly, without complaint. After they left, Counselor Vaylor slammed a hand against the table. "How dare they? How dare Earth speak to the council in this manner?" A younger council member, a green-skinned diplomat named Lyra, frowned. "Sir, perhaps we should have listened. Their calmness, it is unusual. It is not weakness." Vaylor waved her off. "Weakness, Lyra. That is what it is. They are simple, untested, and dangerous only to themselves. Soon they will return to their planet and remain insignificant." Zoran laughed again. "Yes, we will not hear from them again. Humans are not a serious threat. They are not even worth our attention." For days, the council debated quietly. Many members agreed with Vaylor. Humans were simple. Humans were small. They had only one planet. They had no experience with interstellar politics. They had no allies. Rejecting them was easy. Daniel and Lisa returned to their ship in orbit around the council world. The ship was small, unarmed in appearance, but it was well maintained. Inside, Daniel sat at the command console, reviewing data collected from the council chamber. Lisa moved quietly, examining the sensors and communications arrays. "We knew they would dismiss us," Daniel said softly. Lisa nodded. "Yes, but it is worse than we expected. They are proud. They do not see danger coming." Daniel's hands hovered over the console. "That is exactly why we prepared. We have been ready for this outcome for a long time." Lisa tilted her head. "Do you think they will ever understand?" Daniel shook his head slightly. "No, humans do not act for recognition. They act to survive and to protect others. They will not see the purpose until it is too late." In the council chamber, Vaylor continued his lectures. Mark this, council members, Earth is nothing, their fleets are small, their planet is distant, they will not interfere with our affairs. Lyra did not respond. She only watched the exit where the humans had left. A small sense of unease gnawed at her. Meanwhile, Daniel and Lisa returned to Earth, their mission complete. They did not celebrate, they did not boast. Their data crystals contained simulations, maps, and instructions for early warning systems, defense strategies, and fleet coordination. Systems that the Council had ignored, dismissed as unnecessary. Back on Earth, human fleets moved quietly. Ships that appeared small and ordinary to outside observers were strengthened, upgraded, and tested. Scientists worked in secret, creating weapons, shields, and systems that the Council could not even imagine. Earth's leaders did not broadcast their preparations. They did not announce them to the galaxy. They had learned patience over thousands of years. They did not need recognition. They only needed readiness. Months passed. News from the Council reached Earth occasionally through long-distance transmissions. The Council celebrated its own decisions. They sent fleets to small border colonies, confident that humanity posed no threat. Daniel and Lisa watched quietly. "They still believe we are weak," Lisa said, reading reports from the Council. Daniel smiled faintly. "Let them believe it. We have learned that patience is as powerful as fire." In the Council chamber, arrogance continued. Valor and others planned new trade agreements, new sanctions, new missions to secure control over the outer sectors. Humans were not considered. They were forgotten, except for whispers of their proposal which most dismissed. Yet some began to notice patterns. Reports from border colonies mentioned strange fleets moving silently near human systems. Ships appeared and disappeared, moving in ways that were too precise to be natural. Some captains reported seeing small craft that moved faster than physics should allow. Valor ignored these reports. "Imagination, nothing more. Humans are simple. Do not give them weight." But the whispering grew. Some members of the Council wondered if the humans had been telling the truth. Some feared they had been underestimated. Back on Earth, Daniel and Lisa oversaw simulations of interstellar conflicts. Their focus was calm, disciplined. Each calculation, each adjustment was precise. They prepared for threats the Council could not imagine. Lisa looked at one of the simulations. "Do you think they will come to regret dismissing us?" Daniel did not answer immediately. He studied the moving patterns of fleets on the holographic screen. "Regret is not what they will feel. Fear, yes. Shock, yes, but not regret. They will understand only after the outcome, and by then it will be too late." Earth remained quiet. Human ships moved in patterns that seemed ordinary, almost lazy, to observers outside. But in every ship, in every pilot, in every scientist's calculations, there was discipline, focus, and purpose. Counselor Lyra, still uneasy, tried to warn Valor. "Sir, perhaps we underestimated them. Perhaps they are not as weak as we thought." Valor laughed harshly. "Weak, Lyra, they are a minor inconvenience, a child throwing stones at a wall, nothing more." Zoran smirked. "Even if they are clever, they lack the experience to challenge the Council. Their fleets are small. Their planet is isolated. This is laughable." Lyra did not speak. She only watched the stars outside the Council chamber windows. Something about the calm humans, their quiet confidence, and the silence of their departure did not sit well. Back on Earth, Daniel and Lisa prepared for a future that no one in the Council could imagine. Each day, each simulation, each fleet maneuver brought them closer to readiness. They did not need to hurry. They did not need approval. One evening, as Earth rotated beneath them, Lisa stood on the observation deck of the main fleet command. The stars stretched endlessly across the sky. "It is strange," she said. "How they can ignore us and yet we can see everything they do. They think they are secure." Daniel nodded. "Security is only what one prepares for. They have prepared nothing. They are blind." Lisa looked at him. "Do you think they will remember us at all?" Daniel smiled faintly, but his eyes were serious. "They will, when it matters most." The humans did not speak loudly. They did not parade their power. They prepared quietly, steadily, like rivers carving stone. And the Council, blind in its arrogance, could not see the rising tide. Weeks turned to months. Trade missions continued, border colonies reported unusual but unexplained patterns, and the Council continued to celebrate its own wisdom. The humans waited, not in anger. Not in pride, but in certainty. They had left quietly, just as they had come quietly, and the silence they left behind carried a warning that the Council had ignored. In time, the council would feel the weight of that warning. But for now, they remained confident, arrogant, and blind. Daniel and Lisa returned to their work, overseeing fleets, analyzing data, and preparing quietly. Each decision was deliberate, each action measured. They did not need recognition. They only needed readiness. And as the stars stretched across the endless sky, humanity waited. The council would soon learn that quiet preparation could be more powerful than noise, and patience could be more deadly than pride. Months passed after the humans left the council chamber. On the surface, everything seemed normal. Council members continued their routines, passing resolutions, signing trade agreements, and sending fleets to outer colonies. To them, humanity had disappeared quietly, and that disappearance was proof of their insignificance. On Earth, the story was very different. Human leaders had returned from the council chamber and immediately began quietly restructuring their fleets and defenses. Ships that appeared ordinary were upgraded with advanced technology. Hidden sensors were installed in deep space, and fleets were positioned in precise patterns across Earth's nearby systems. Daniel Brooks and Lisa Carter supervised every detail. "Our neighbors think we are gone," Daniel said as he studied a holographic map of the galaxy. "They will not see what we have built until it is too late." Lisa nodded, her eyes tracing the paths of the silent fleets. "They will laugh, they will ignore it, but their laughter will not protect them." Humans did not broadcast their activities. No message was sent to the council. No fleets were deployed outward for display. Their silence was deliberate. They were preparing quietly, methodically. Meanwhile, the council continued to celebrate its own wisdom. Valor spoke often about the human species with condescension. "Do not be concerned. Earth is isolated. Their fleets are small. Their technology is primitive compared to ours. There is no reason to monitor them closely." Other council members agreed. Most believed that Daniel and Lisa's visit had been a curiosity, nothing more. Some, like the younger diplomat Lyra, felt a small doubt, but she did not speak aloud. She had learned that in the council, questioning authority was dangerous. The council assumed that humans had been embarrassed. They assumed that the polite departure of Daniel and Lisa was a sign of weakness. They believed Earth had returned home, defeated and unimportant. Months turned to years. Earth slowly withdrew from council space. Trade routes that had connected human systems to distant worlds were closed. Diplomatic embassies were quietly shut down. Council envoys returned home, reporting that human cooperation had been paused indefinitely. At first, council members felt relief. Zoran laughed openly, saying, "See, they are nothing. They do not interfere. Our decisions remain unchallenged." Valor nodded in agreement. "We acted wisely. Humanity cannot influence the balance of power in this galaxy. They are insignificant." But small reports began to reach the council, and those reports caused a subtle unease. Border colonies, far from the central worlds of the council, reported seeing strange patterns in space. Fleets appeared in unusual formations near human systems. Ships would move quickly, then vanish without a trace. Some colonies reported detecting signals that could not be explained by normal communication systems. Most of the council ignored these reports. They assumed them to be errors, exaggerations, or overactive imaginations. But Lyra could not ignore them. She studied the reports closely and noticed a pattern. Ships always appeared near human systems. Their movements were precise and coordinated. Sensors detected power levels that suggested advanced propulsion technology. She brought her concerns to Valor. "Sir, there may be more to Earth than we realize. Their fleets are moving quietly, but we can see the patterns. They are organizing." Valor waved his hand dismissively. "Do not worry. Even if they have fleets, they cannot challenge the Council. Their planet is isolated. Their ships are small. We have no reason to prepare for their return." Zoran chuckled. "Lyra, you worry too much. Humans are clever, yes, but cleverness cannot replace experience. They cannot fight what they do not understand. Their place in the galaxy is minor. Their actions are irrelevant." Lyra said nothing. She only watched the stars through the observation window of the council tower. The quiet humans, their silent fleets, and their calm departure troubled her. Something about it felt wrong. Back on Earth, Daniel and Lisa continued their work. Fleets were expanded and moved quietly to deep space positions. Each ship was tested, each crew trained, and each system calibrated for future threats. Earth scientists worked on technologies that could detect enemy ships long before they arrived, and weapons that could disable fleets without warning. "Our neighbors do not see us," Daniel said one evening standing on the bridge of the command station. "They think we are weak. That is good. Let them believe it." Lisa nodded. "They will understand too late. The Council has made its choice. We only need to be ready for the consequences." Communication with Council space continued, but only in polite, formal ways. Earth did not challenge any decisions. Trade messages were minimal. Scientific collaborations were paused. Humans acted as though they had returned to isolation, but everything was part of a careful plan. Years passed, and the Council grew more confident. Their fleets expanded. Colonies were secured. Trade agreements were signed with other species. They believed the galaxy was stable and humans were irrelevant. Valor often addressed the Council with pride. "Earth has left us quietly as expected. Their absence shows their lack of ambition. They do not wish to challenge us. Let them be forgotten." Zoran laughed again. "Yes, let us not waste more time thinking about them. They are a small, simple species. The galaxy will not change because of them." But the small unease in Lyra's mind grew. She continued to study reports from the border colonies. Every so often, a fleet would appear near human systems, move with exact precision, and then vanish. Signals were detected and lost. Patterns repeated across years. Something about these movements was deliberate, methodical, and unlike anything the Council had seen before. She tried to warn others. "Sir, the humans may be preparing. Their fleets are active. Their systems are expanding quietly. We cannot ignore this." Valor waved her off. "You worry too much, Lyra. Observation errors, sensor glitches. Humans are nothing. They will not act. Their place is small, and they will remain silent." Even Zoran, usually quick to dismiss, seemed to hesitate. Perhaps the humans are cleverer than we thought, but cleverness alone cannot defeat fleets and weapons we control." Lyra remained quiet. She could feel the truth, but no one else wanted to hear it. Meanwhile, humans continued to prepare. Every day, Daniel and Lisa oversaw simulations of interstellar conflicts. They studied fleets from neighboring civilizations, analyzing possible threats, weaknesses, and strengths. Each calculation, each fleet maneuver, each adjustment was deliberate. Humans were quietly building something the Council could not understand. One evening, Lisa looked over the holographic map of the galaxy. "They think we are gone," she said softly. "They believe we are weak, unprepared. They are blind." Daniel nodded. "Yes, and that is the advantage. Silence is more powerful than noise. Patience is more powerful than pride. They will see it soon enough." On the Council world, Valor addressed the Council one last time on the matter of humans. "Let us forget them. Earth is no longer part of our concerns. Their fleets are small, their technology primitive, and their influence zero. We have nothing to fear from them." But Lyra continued to watch. She noticed fleets moving quietly near human systems. She noticed patterns that no one else seemed to understand. The humans were not gone. They were preparing. Daniel and Lisa oversaw the training of every human pilot and fleet commander. Each drill was repeated hundreds of times. Every crew member learned to anticipate attacks, to act without hesitation, and to move as one. Earth was quiet but ready. "Our neighbors will never see us coming," Daniel said. "Their pride will blind them. They will ignore the signs, and that will be their mistake." Lisa nodded. "We act not for recognition, not for respect, but for readiness. We prepare because it is necessary. The Council will learn eventually, but it will be too late." Trade routes in Council space continued to function, colonies were secured, and fleets moved openly. Yet human fleets moved silently, invisible to Council monitoring systems. Sensors that were thought impossible to defeat were bypassed, hidden paths through hyperspace were mapped, and strategic positions were established. Lyra tried once more to warn the Council. "We cannot ignore these signs. Humans are organizing. They are preparing for something." "Their silence is deliberate." Valor turned sharply. "Enough, Lyra, you worry too much. Humans are gone. They have left quietly. Their threat is nothing. Stop spreading fear where it is not needed." Zoran smirked. "Fear? There is nothing to fear. Humans are a minor species. Let them hide in their systems. Let them prepare. It will change nothing." But Lyra could feel it. Something was rising quietly, something deliberate, something the Council had ignored. Back on Earth, Daniel and Lisa oversaw the final tests of human defenses. Ships were launched, tested, and returned to base. Simulations of Council fleets attacking human systems were run over and over. Every possible scenario was studied. Weaknesses were corrected. Every human fleet, every weapon system, every sensor was ready. Lisa looked at Daniel one evening. They believe we are silent, they believe we are weak, they will learn otherwise when the time comes. Daniel smiled faintly. Yes, and until then we wait, quietly, steadily, always prepared. The council remained confident, proud, and blind. Humans had left quietly, but that quiet contained a warning. A warning the council refused to see. And in the silence of space, the humans waited. The galaxy was calm for a long time. The council continued its routines, confident that humanity posed no threat. They sent fleets to secure borders, built new stations, and strengthened trade routes. They believed the galaxy was safe. But in the darkness beyond mapped space, something was moving. Ships came from regions the council had never explored. They were huge, black, and fast. No communication signals were sent. No warnings were given. They simply appeared, and when they arrived, destruction followed. The first reports came from small colonies at the edge of council space. Colonies that had barely been supplied were destroyed in hours. Entire fleets vanished. Command centers were obliterated. The council was shocked. Their technology, shields, and tactics failed. Commander Ethan Ross was assigned to the observation corps. He studied the situation from a distant station. "This is worse than any simulation," he said. "They are not using normal weapons. Our shields are useless. Entire fleets disappear in moments." Counselor Vaylor refused to believe the reports at first. "Errors in sensors," he said. "You exaggerate." No fleet could be destroyed so quickly. But more reports arrived. Colonies closer to the council capital were attacked. Trade routes vanished. Ships trying to respond were destroyed. Panic spread among the council members. Vaylor called a meeting. "Explain to me how our fleets, our stations, and our weapons have failed." One officer, a veteran strategist named Kellen, spoke cautiously. "Sir, this threat is unlike anything we have seen. Their weapons are precise. Their movements are coordinated." "It is as if they know exactly where our weak points are," Zoran scoffed. "This is impossible. Only humans could even think of such strategy, and we dismissed them. They are weak. We have nothing to fear from Earth." Lyra's eyes widened. She knew what Zoran did not. She tried to speak, but her voice shook. "Sir, it is exactly what Daniel Brooks and Lisa Carter warned us about. They offered cooperation, and we ignored them. Our defenses were never tested for what is happening now." Vaylor slammed his hand on the table. "Nonsense. The humans are gone. This is another species attacking us. Focus on the enemy, not on Earth." But Lyra could not be silent. "Sir, if only we had accepted their offer, they could have prepared us for this. They had plans, systems, strategies. We dismissed them. Now we face the consequences." Vaylor waved her off angrily. "Enough! The Council will manage. We do not need Earth to save us." But the evidence was impossible to ignore. Fleet after fleet fell. Colonies that had been protected for centuries were destroyed. Panic spread. Council fleets were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and outgunned. The threat moved too fast, struck too precisely, and vanished before counterattacks could be organized. In desperation, the Council attempted communication with Earth. Transmissions were sent with urgency. "To the United Nations of Earth," Vaylor transmitted personally. "We request immediate military assistance. Council colonies are under attack. Your cooperation is necessary." For hours, no response came. The Council waited anxiously. Fleet after fleet fell. Systems they believed secure were destroyed. Council members argued and panicked. Meanwhile, on Earth, Daniel and Lisa monitored the Council space quietly. They had seen the signs for years. Their simulations predicted this threat long before it arrived. Their fleets were ready, their weapons were ready, and their systems were ready. Lisa studied the communications from the Council. "They finally understand the danger," she said, "but it may already be too late." Daniel nodded. "We will respond, but on our terms. The Council will learn the consequences of ignoring us." The Council attempted to coordinate counterattacks. Commander Ethan Ross organized fleets, but every plan failed. Ships were destroyed before they reached targets. Communications were disrupted. Colonies fell one after another. Vaylor, now pale and tense, tried to maintain control. "Reinforce the outer colonies," he ordered. "Concentrate all fleets and push them back. Use every weapon available." Kellen shook his head. "Sir, the enemy moves faster than we can respond." "Every effort fails. We are losing at every level," Zoran muttered angrily. "We should have accepted the humans' offer. They warned us. They gave us solutions, and we laughed at them. Now we are paying the price." Lyra nodded silently. She had tried to warn the Council. She had seen the patterns, but no one had listened, and now the consequences were unavoidable. In Earth's command center, Daniel and Lisa prepared the fleets. Ships of all sizes moved into position, forming precise formations. Every crew member knew their role. Every weapon system was calibrated. Every sensor network was active. Lisa looked at the display. "They do not know we are ready," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "No, they think they are in control. That is their mistake." Human fleets moved quietly through space. Sensors detected the threat that had devastated the Council fleets. The humans did not attack immediately. They waited, studying the enemy, understanding their movements. Back in Council space, the panic grew. Reports came in of entire colonies lost, fleets destroyed, and trade routes cut. Council members argued. Valor shouted, Zoran cursed, and Lyra remained silent, her mind focused on what she knew was coming. At last, humans responded. Their fleets emerged from hidden paths in hyperspace. Hundreds of ships, perfectly coordinated, appeared near the Council colonies under attack. They moved with precision, avoiding unnecessary destruction, protecting civilians, and engaging only the threat. Admiral Ryan Hale transmitted a single message to the Council. Humanity responds to civilian distress. Stand clear of combat zones. The Council members stared in shock. Fleets that had seemed invisible, impossible, and untouchable were now engaged. Human ships moved as one organism, exploiting weaknesses in the enemy that the Council had never noticed. Daniel Brooks directed the human fleets calmly. Target command ships first. Disable communications. Protect civilians. Use minimal force for maximum effect. Lisa monitored the movements. Every attack is precise. They move faster than our sensors can track. Every strike disables the enemy without unnecessary risk. The Council could only watch in awe and horror. Colonies that had seemed doomed were protected. Fleets that had been destroyed were countered and neutralized. Within hours, the enemy began to retreat, confused and overwhelmed by human strategy. Valor could not speak. Zoran was pale. Lyra finally breathed with relief, knowing that the humans had acted exactly as she had hoped. After 48 hours, the enemy was gone. The colonies were safe. The Council fleets had been spared from complete annihilation, not by their own efforts, but by the humans they had ignored and dismissed. Then, a transmission arrived from Earth. Lisa Carter's voice filled the Council chamber. Humanity has fulfilled its moral duty. We have protected civilian lives and neutralized the threat. However, we will not resume Council membership. Cooperation was offered and ignored. Trust, once dismissed, cannot be demanded. No anger, no pride, just fact. The Council realized their error. They had dismissed the humans, ignored their warnings, and now had survived only because of their quiet preparation and disciplined action. Valor turned to Lyra. "It is worse than I imagined. We were blind. We dismissed them. We nearly lost everything." Lyra nodded. "They left quietly, sir. They always act with purpose. We ignored them, and now we see what that cost us." Daniel and Lisa ordered their fleets to withdraw. Human ships returned to hidden positions. There was no celebration, no show of power. They had acted and they had succeeded. That was all. The Council had survived, but their pride was shattered. Their confidence was gone. They had been shown that the galaxy was larger, more dangerous, and more complex than they had imagined. And they had been saved by the very species they had dismissed. Lyra continued to watch the stars. "They will not intervene again," she said quietly. "At least not unless it is necessary. They do not seek recognition. They only act when needed." Valor sat in silence, staring at the space beyond the chamber windows. For the first time in his life, he understood humility. Humanity had left quietly. They had warned politely. They had been ignored. And now, when they acted, the Council had seen the consequences of arrogance, pride, and dismissal. The galaxy was safe, but the Council knew it would never be the same. Humans had acted quietly, and the Council would remember that forever. After the enemy retreated, the Council chamber was quiet. Too quiet. The grand windows showed empty space where fleets had once been, and empty colonies where life had been at risk. Council members sat in stunned silence, unable to speak. Valor, once proud and commanding, leaned back in his chair. His silver skin reflected the light of distant stars. He had survived attacks he had not prepared for, and he had been saved by the very humans he had dismissed as insignificant. Lyra finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. "They acted without demand, without pride, without recognition. We survived because of their action, not our own. Zoran muttered angrily. It should have been us. It should have been the council defending its own colonies. We could have done it. Vaylor shook his head slowly. No, we failed. We ignored warnings. We ignored opportunity. And we nearly lost everything. Outside the council, humanity's fleets were already moving quietly back to their hidden stations. There was no triumphal announcement, no display of victory. They had done what needed to be done and nothing more. Daniel Brooks observed the council's communications with calm interest. They have learned, he said quietly, but not all lessons are learned immediately. Some take time. Lisa Carter nodded. Yes, they will remember what we did and they will remember how we acted. But they will not understand fully until they reflect on it. The council attempted to contact the humans again, but the transmissions were met with silence. No fleets returned to council space, no messages of thanks were sent, no new trade agreements were offered. Humanity had completed their task, protected lives, and now left quietly once more. Vaylor addressed the remaining council members. We must review our failures. We trusted our pride more than reason. We ignored an opportunity to strengthen ourselves. We survived by luck, and we must never forget it, Lyra nodded. The humans did not act for recognition. They acted because it was necessary. That is something we should remember. Across the galaxy, human fleets returned to positions hidden from sensors. Ships moved as if they had never left, perfectly quiet and precise. Each crew member knew their role, and every system remained ready. Preparation had always been humanity's greatest weapon. On Earth, Daniel and Lisa walked across the deck of a command station. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the windows. It is done, Daniel said quietly. Lisa nodded. Yes, the council knows now. They have seen what happens when you ignore humans, but they will not understand fully until much later. Daniel looked at the display of human fleets. We act because it is necessary. We protect because it is right. Recognition is never our goal. Lisa smiled faintly. They will remember us. They will respect us. Some may even fear us, but they will never control us. That is the lesson. Back in the council chamber, Vaylor called a meeting to discuss the aftermath. The council survived, he said, his voice heavy. But we survived because of others. We nearly lost everything because we were blind and arrogant. Zoran leaned forward. The humans, we ignored their warnings. They acted and they saved us. We must admit our failure. Lyra spoke clearly. It is not only failure, it is a lesson. Humans are disciplined, prepared, and precise. They act for the right reasons. We ignored that and we were humbled. Vaylor nodded slowly. We cannot undo the past, but we can learn from it. Never again will we underestimate any species, and never again will we ignore warnings that are calmly given. Across council space, fleets began returning to routine, but there was a sense of unease. Colonies that had survived were damaged, fleets that had fallen could not be replaced immediately, and council members were quieter than before. Pride had been broken, and humility had taken its place. Lyra continued to study the reports. Patterns in human fleet movements, strategies, and communications impressed her more with every passing day. They could have destroyed us, she whispered. They could have ended the council if they wanted, and yet they saved us instead. Vaylor's gaze lingered on the stars. They did not act for reward, not for recognition, not for power. They acted because it was right. That is something we have never done well. Perhaps we will never do it as well as them. On Earth, Daniel and Lisa oversaw the fleets returning to hidden bases. There was no celebration, only quiet efficiency. Every ship returned to its precise location, every crew member completed their duties, and every system was maintained for the future. Lisa looked at Daniel. Do you think they will try to contact us again? Daniel shook his head. Perhaps, but it will not be necessary. We have shown what happens when humans act. They will remember. That is enough. Humans left quietly, as they always did. They did not seek glory, nor did they need approval. They had acted when it mattered, and now the galaxy knew that humans could not be ignored. Back in the council chamber, Vaylor continued to speak. We will rebuild. We will strengthen our defenses. But most importantly, we will never forget the lesson of Earth. We ignored the humans and nearly paid the price. Lyra nodded. They will remain in their own space, quiet, prepared, and precise, but we will always remember what they can do. Months passed, and the galaxy slowly returned to normal. Colonies were repaired, fleets were replaced, and trade routes reopened. The council survived, but it was changed. Pride had been tempered. Humility had taken its place. And the story of humans' quiet intervention spread among council members not as a boast but as a lesson. Daniel and Lisa continued to oversee human fleets. Training continued. Simulations continued. Preparation never ended. Earth remained quiet, still, and ready. One evening, Daniel and Lisa stood on the observation deck of a command station. The stars stretched endlessly across the sky. "They will remember," Lisa said softly. "They cannot forget what happened." Daniel nodded. "Yes, but they will not fully understand. They never will, and that is why we act quietly, steadily, and without need for recognition. That is what makes us different." Lyra, still observing from council space, finally admitted to herself the truth she had felt for years. Humans were not weak. Humans were not simple. They were disciplined, prepared, and relentless when needed. And they did not need to announce themselves to the galaxy to be powerful. Valor sat silently, reflecting on everything that had happened. He had survived an attack that nearly destroyed the Council, not because of the Council's skill, but because of humans. And that fact changed him forever. Across the galaxy, human fleets returned to their hidden stations. Ships moved as if they had never left, ready for any challenge. Crew members trained in silence, knowing that humanity's strength was in preparation, discipline, and calm resolve. Daniel looked at Lisa. "We do not seek glory. We do not need recognition. We act because it is necessary, because it is right. That is what separates humans from the Council." Lisa smiled faintly. "They will remember us. They will respect us. Some may fear us, but they will never control us." The Council, humbled and changed, could only watch the stars where humans had acted. They had seen what calm, steady preparation could achieve. They had survived because of a species they had dismissed, ignored, and underestimated. And the humans, as always, left quietly with no need for applause, no need for thanks, and no need for recognition. The galaxy would remember their actions. The Council would remember their warnings. And humanity, as always, would remain ready, calm, and unshakable, prepared for whatever came next. For the first time in centuries, the Council understood something important. Power was not always in noise, pride, or influence. Sometimes the greatest power was quiet, patient, and prepared, and humans had it in abundance. Daniel and Lisa watched the stars one last time. "It is done," Daniel said. Lisa nodded. "Yes. And it will remain done until it is needed again." Across the galaxy, life continued. Colonies rebuilt, fleets returned to stations, and the Council survived. But a quiet lesson lingered in every mind that had witnessed it. Humans had acted, and they had acted correctly, decisively, and without need for recognition. The Council had felt the weight of their error. Pride had been replaced with humility. Confidence had been replaced with caution. And they knew that humans, who had left quietly, had already changed the galaxy forever.